Well, a lot of players are obviously going to be keeping a close eye on this, including David Price, the pitcher who opted out of this return, tweeting yesterday, now we really get to see if baseball is going to put players' health first. Remember when Manfred said players' health was paramount? Part of the reason I'm at home right now is because players' health wasn't being put first. I can see that hasn't changed. So skepticism out there, to say the least. And to begin the conversation, our insider, Jeff Passan, is with us, and Jessica Mendoza is up early this morning as well. But Jeff, I'll start with you. It was all your reporting right here on this program yesterday that began this conversation. What are we hearing this morning?
Well, Greeny, this might not be over. We have to understand that the Miami Marlins got tested again yesterday, and we know by now the incubation period for coronavirus is not just 1 or 2 days. It can stretch out as long as 4 or 5 days possibly. So we could see even more positive tests coming back today. Already the roster has been ravaged by the Marlins. They're making phone calls around to free agents asking if they might be able to make it down to Miami and fill out this roster that's going to be losing, upward of a dozen people potentially for an indeterminate amount of time. And that's the confusing part for the Marlins baseball-wise. How do they put together a competitive baseball team when Rob Manfred says that competitive integrity is at the forefront of him deciding whether the season continues or not?
Yeah, and they haven't yet decided that they won't play as soon as tomorrow. So, Jessica, you were with us yesterday when this was breaking. Now that you've had some time to digest it all and you heard what the commissioner said yesterday, what's your first thought this morning?
That there's not more direction in what happens when there's more than one positive test. Sunday morning, I go back to that when the Marlins were made aware that they not only had one positive test, which they found out Friday, but now 4 positive tests. And that what, as far as now, seemed left almost up to the team to decide, the players discussing, do we want to play or not? And that, to me, should never be left up, because as a player, as an athlete, are they following everything that they need to know with the CDC and all of the information? Probably not. And yet it's left right now in their hands whether they should have played that game or not. That's going to happen, but I expected more from Rob Manfred to give direction. I get 113 pages of protocols, but add to that, now what happens when there is more than one positive test? And the fact that these teams absolutely need direction on whether to play or not once an outbreak occurs.
Well, so Jeff, to that point, how likely is it, based upon what you are reporting, that the Marlins did use a player on Sunday that was COVID positive, maybe more than one? And if so, what does that mean?
Yeah, Greeny, it's just a matter of numbers. There were so many positive cases inside of the Marlins clubhouse that it feels likely that a COVID positive player was used in that game on Sunday. And if that's the case, then the protocols that Rob Manfred is standing so steadfastly behind really are not doing a good job of containing in that moment the possibility of spread, not just within a team, but to the team that they are playing as well. And that's why the Philadelphia Phillies have been tested as well. And those results, Greeny, the pending results on the Phillies coronavirus tests, are going to be extremely interesting, because we understand that Rob Manfred's argument is it's one team right now. It's contained within that team. We don't have an outbreak throughout the sport. If it has been transferred from one team to another, despite Phillies players wearing masks, despite Phillies players knowing that there was the potential for an outbreak on the Marlins team, that changes the ball game right there, no pun intended, and that makes this a whole different issue.
Yeah, no question about it. Again, the Yankees were supposed to play the Phillies yesterday. The status of that continuation continues to be sort of up in the air. And then, Jessica, I'll come back to you again on what David Price tweeted when he talked about how now we're going to see if baseball is really going to put players' health first. What did you think of that, and what sense do you get that of the confidence level that players around the sport right now have in the way all this is going?
Greeny, I go to Davey Martinez, who is the manager of the World Series champion Nationals, and his reaction. I mean, his fear level, he said, went from an 8 to a 12. He talked about just players reaching out to him, and the fear has now increased so much. David Price, it makes sense. He opted out. He already had that fear to begin with. But now, across Major League Baseball, we are seeing managers, players scared And that's what this outbreak has caused.
No question. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it there for the moment, but stay close by because news on this continues to develop. Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.